Good evening and welcome to the Jon Gaunt podcast. With you for about half an hour. If you want to join in, get calling, get putting your comments in the comment box as soon as possible. Let me tell you now, 2026, the year we're in now, will be as bad as last year if we let the uber liberal media in this country dictate the agenda and the same old staid politicians. Because let me tell you, they're too busy crying into their skinny lattes about what Donald Trump has done, removing a dictator, and they're so affected by Trump derangement syndrome, they see him as the baddie, not the foul dictator Maduro, the man who was importing Class A drugs into the United States of America, along with piles of illegal immigrants. The world is a better place for what Donald Trump has done. And I'm going to be even more controversial than that. Let me tell you, we should use some, I'm not saying kill them, but we should use some of the same tactics on the gangs who are bringing the flip-flop warriors to Britain. Stuff the EU. We need to intervene and we need to use real force. It shouldn't be left up to some patriots or yobbos, whichever way you want to describe them, to go over to France to wreck the boats. Why don't we send the SAS? I'm being serious. And in this broadcast, I'll show you why I think it's important. I cannot believe that Trump went in. He's removed a dictator, one of the richest oil countries in the world, but I've been there. I've actually been to Caracas. It's a wonderful country, and that's a wonderful city, or it was, let me tell you. But it's been ruled by dictators on and off for the last, 30 or 40 years. This guy was never elected. He stole the election. That's why they're dancing in the streets. But you wouldn't know that if you read most of our newspapers. You wouldn't know that if you relied on the mainstream media, particularly the BBC, who haven't even got the excuse, well, we were very busy dealing with what's happening in Iran, because they're not even covering that story either. Evidently, it was very difficult to get realistic figures for Gaza, but somehow they managed to keep on saying Israel were the enemy. But now it's impossible to know what's happening in Iran. What a load of tosh. This is the media, the establishment, who actually control everything in this country, and to a large extent America, before Donald Trump came to power. This is them wielding their influence. So, basically, he takes this foul dictator, he gets him in the helicopter, and the first thing most of the established media go on about, international law. He's an effing dictator. He needed removing. Oh, and then it was, now Trump's going to control all the oil. Yes. And your problem with that is he's also going to make sure there's now a democratic government. And I know sometimes these things go wrong. I've got a memory. I can remember Iraq. But has he solved the immediate problem? Answer, yes. Was there any deaths on the American side? No. It was a brilliant military operation. We've got the best military in the world, and we can't stop a load of flip-flop warriors getting in at Dover. Why? I'll tell you why. Because there's no political will. And Starmer showed himself completely this weekend, because when they asked him, do you condemn it? Because the liberals, and Laura Kuenssberg was even trying to push this angle this morning. She wants him to condemn Trump, right? He wouldn't do either. He sat on the fence with splinters up his arse again, because he's not a leader. He's a lawyer. And worse than a lawyer, he's a human rights leeching lawyer. He didn't know what to say. And then people are saying, well, surely we're America's biggest ally. He should have been consulted. He was sleeping. He was asleep when Trump was trying to restore some order to the world. So I'm telling you, that's what's wrong with our country. Starmer will never be a leader while I've got a hole in my underpants. And why are we going through this farce? He was on Laura Kunsberg's program this morning. He says he's going to serve the whole term. I was given a mandate of 5 years and I'm not going anywhere. I'll be in this chair next year and I'll be in the chair in 2027 or whenever it is. You're deluded. You won't be. You're useless. Your own cabinet, not just the government, the whole cabinet is against you. You've got the worst popularity ratings going. And then when there's a clear opportunity to maybe grab some of the glory, you miss the target again, Sir Keir. And let me just tell you something, Sir Keir. If we broke you in half like a stick of Blackpool rock, it would say human rights all the way through it and EU. And if you didn't see the Laura Kunsberg program this morning, let me tell you, he's talking about us getting closer to the EU again. Maybe not joining fully, although that's obvious where he's really going. So he's got his back against the wall and he's still pushing something that the British people democratically decided they didn't want to be part of. The man is a moron, or he's trying to trigger us, or he's trying to create a civil war. I'm coming to the conclusion that maybe it's that last thing. Forever English says John's pissed off his football team lost. There are some things more important than football, mate, and I would suggest your country being sold out by Starmer is one of them. Let me get back to where I am, because I think this is really, really interesting. Why is it so bad that Trump says these guys are importing Class A drugs into my country? Please stop it. I'm going to stop it. Then he says to them, you've not stopped it. Don't fuck with me because I'm going to deal with you. And then he sends in the gunships and he sends in the helicopters and he sends in the jets. He doesn't lose one single American life and he captures the dictator. And he takes the dictator out and he's now going to put him on trial in America. And now the uber liberals, I don't know if you've seen that Matthew Stadler. Oh, it's terrible. Now, if that happens, what's to stop China doing it in Taiwan? May I humbly suggest, Donald Trump, we're not going to stand by and let other countries do this. This was a logical, well thought out operation, and we should have been part of it. But we can't be part of it because Donald Trump does not trust our leader, Keir Starmer, which is no surprise because most of the British public don't trust him either. We are being led by a donkey, by an ass, by an arse. That's what's going wrong. And then he smugly sits there today. He sits there today. And in that whole, we're doing Laura Kunsberg, she's so full of herself and full of shit as well. Oh, it's an extended interview. It's a really good thing. We're going to do more of these. What's the point of having an extended interview if he doesn't say anything? Which is effectively what happened again. He went on about school dinners. I'm sorry. If you can't afford to feed your kids, don't fucking have them. I don't think that's number one priority, Keir Starmer. Number one priority is stopping the illegal immigrants getting into our country. And you've done sweet F.A. about it. And there was only a vague mention of it. Like, did you see on Christmas, was it Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve? Starmer's going to address the nation at 10:30. I thought, oh, yes, he's going to resign. He did nothing of the sort. He basically did his little orphan Annie impression. Tomorrow, you better bet your bottom dollar the sun is going to shine. It's rubbish. And he was doing that again today. The quivering lip. Oh, I'm under pressure. And she was playing up to it as well. Thank you, Prime Minister. Thank you for giving us your time. What do you mean giving us his time? We pay the stupid, useless imbecile, the cretin. But the BBC are so far up his backside, they could clean his teeth internally. You should be outraged at what's happening. He says he won't resign. He's not going. He's going to carry on being the Prime Minister. We gave him a mandate. Yes, but based on a whole load of lies. I didn't vote for him, by the way. But based on a whole load of lies. Why couldn't he give a straight answer yesterday? I think it's a good idea to remove this drug smuggling bastard who's been oppressing his people. Yeah, well done, Donald. He couldn't because he doesn't think it is right. It's against the dictator's human rights. Well, we shouldn't be surprised. Look, before Christmas, this man let in somebody who says all white people need to be killed. He let into our country, along with the Tories as well, a man who hates Jews, who's proud of being an anti-Semite. Lucy Connolly gets sent to prison for 31 months for writing some posts, which she then removed. But we're letting a guy in who wants to kill Jews. And then today in his interview, maybe you lot haven't seen it, in the interview with Lord Kunsberg, he also makes the point. He says, I didn't know. And he said, I regret. He can't say sorry. For him, sorry is the hardest word, isn't it, Elton John, right? He can't say sorry. He said he had regrets. But then he immediately said, no one told him. You're the fucking Prime Minister. If I was going to interview somebody, you know, when I did, I nearly said proper radio, you had researchers. And their job was to find out the facts and the background and then help you think of the questions, etc., etc. We've let in a man and we're meant to believe he never asked. He hasn't got anything dodgy on his record. I told you last week. I applied for a job with the Dole. I didn't get it because of my politics, because they checked my social media. I've got mates who do this job. They work in companies now. Every big company checks your social media before they interview you. It's a fact. Are we meant to believe the bloody Prime Minister of the United Kingdom hasn't got a department doing that? It's bullshit. Well, I've had enough of his lies. And I say what Britain needs as we go, if you want the world to be different next year or this year, we can't carry on like this. Trump, he's got loads of faults, of course. But do you really care about the human rights of this dictator? He makes Tony Soprano look like a bloody Samaritan. He's been importing Class A drugs into America. Well, I think Trump's got a right to say, stop it. You don't stop it, we're going to blow those speedboats out of the sea. And that's what he's been doing. And then he says, don't F with me. And the guy carries on. Bang! Trump comes in. And it kind of shows all of those other banana republics who might be thinking of doing the same thing, or mafia gangs. Don't do it, because Trump will sort you out. Whereas what do? We're like the Monty Python Spanish Inquisition. Oh, not the pink feather. Oh, no, not the soft cushions. That's how we treat it. And we call them people smugglers. Everyone who's in the boat is part of this. They're not innocents. Maybe 5% of them are proper refugees. The majority are economic migrants who are told, when you get to Dover and put your flip-flop on the floor, say you're trying to claim asylum. The moment you do that, you get treated like an asylum seeker. The Tories have created such a big backlog, you'll never get chucked out of the country. We're being taken for mugs. Now, I don't mind. Starmer's clearly not of the real world, and nor his cabinet. They're all morons, right? But what I do care about is when he then expects us to pay for everything, and then he basically will lock you up if you object to it. Because he's got his little mantra, which he got in again today in his speech with Lord Kunsberg. Diversity is our strength. No, it's not. Unity is our strength. So the people who came in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s to Britain, they united behind this great country. They believe in it. and we believe in them. But this lot who are coming on the boats, they want to live separate lives. Well, that's what appears to me. I don't think they want to be integrated. I don't think they believe that diversity is our strength. No, they believe separatism is the way forward. They believe in dressing women like medieval Daleks, don't they? But we're meant to be ultra liberal about it and, tolerate. No. You can't tolerate the intolerant. And what about Jews? He's again allowed somebody into the country who hates Jews. This guy will be forgotten about in a few weeks. But don't forget, this is the man who represented people like Abu Qatada. Starmer is a human rights lawyer. He's got to go. Smash the gangs. The way to smash the gangs is to do exactly what Donald Trump has done this weekend. Infiltrate them, take them out. You're not telling me the SAS don't know where these people are in Dunkirk. Macron, do one. Spin on it. We don't care what you think. We're going in the choppers at night. We're going to watch the SAS come down those ropes, and they're going to abduct the people, if they are people, smuggling gangs, the organisers. That isn't beyond the wit and wisdom of our special forces, is it? But no, we wouldn't do it. No, because France is a sovereign country. They're talking about Venezuela as a sovereign country. It's not in that sense. It was a dictatorship. A dictatorship. People were scared of their own shadows. I went there, 25 years ago? And, we got to know a few people and they wouldn't talk. If anybody else came into the bar or the restaurant or the cafe who they didn't know. Wars have ears. That was the kind of atmosphere of it. But the left wing, this is the other thing that really gets on my nerves. It's the left wing. It's the Be Kind Brigade, as represented by their Liberal Democrats and represented by Matthew Stadler and idiots like that, jerks like that, right? They're the ones who have, Ken Livingstone's another one, have always cozied up to left-wing fascists. They have. They love a bit of that. And so this guy was oppressing his people. This guy was putting drugs into the United States. This guy was getting migrants into the United States. He was operating a massive mafia-like industry. But somehow it's wrong when Donald Trump, who I'm ever so sorry to tell you this, Matthew, who was democratically elected by the people of America, when he says, I'm not having this anymore and gets tough, he is then the villain. What about international law? I can't remember how many shows I saw on telly yesterday and on the radio talking about the thing is, there is no such thing as international law, really. It's bollocks. Even on GB News, they're going on and on, bleating about it, bleating. What about just saying Donald Trump's done a good job? He's got rid of somebody who we need to get rid of. And what is it when the people of Venezuela are dancing in the streets that the lefties can't celebrate that? It's like what's happening in Iran at the moment. The people at last are rising up. They've done it before, but they're doing it this time. And it looks like they'll be successful. Trump helped them a bit because he bombed the shit out of the place a few weeks ago, just like he did the same in Somalia. Well, I'm afraid that's the right approach. Why isn't the BBC reporting on it? I thought they didn't like people being oppressed, like in Iran. Or is it that their concern only goes as far as Israel and beating up on Jews? Do you follow where I'm coming from here? We should be dancing in the street. The free world have sent a very clear message to these foul people that we're not going to tolerate it any longer. We're just not. Trump, I'm afraid, is a hero. And if we use, I'm not saying we should blow the boats out of the water or kill the migrants. What I'm saying is it isn't beyond the wit and wisdom of our people to stop this. And that's what we need to do. How many boats would you have to smash up? How many times would the SAS have to come out of the helicopter or the special boat service and take a few hostages of the people who are doing this and then try them in our country? Because they're breaking the law in our country, aren't they? That's what we need. And then this all leads me on to, is Nigel Farage then our only hope? I was disappointed when they asked him what he thought, and he kind of hedged his words as well. He should have come out full throttle and said, well done, Donald Trump. I think he will in the next day or two. We need robust action against these people. What's wrong with that? What is wrong with UK politics that they're all so lily-livered? And as I say, they've all been crying into their skinny lattes, probably with oat milk or whatever. I just don't get it. And what I also see is that the majority of the British public, either they're being censored or they're scared to say what I'm saying now. I'm saying, well done, Donald. Absolutely brilliant. But they're saying, oh, no, he's only... I just read an article in, I don't know, some Sunday newspaper online. I don't buy them anymore. It only encourages them. Somebody was saying, well, Donald Trump, he's taken the oil. He's only doing it for the oil. Of course, there'll be an element of that. But he's doing it because he's also a humanitarian. He doesn't want to see these people treated in this way. He's a piece. It just doesn't fit their scenario. The orange man, baddie, no matter what he does. Absolute baddie. Look what he did in Israel. Oh, no, he's still a baddie. I just think it's about time ordinary people had their say. And what I'm trying to say to you is, I think that's been censored. I think it's been censored. I think there must be loads more people like me who every time, when they showed you on the BBC News where he blew one of those high-powered speedboats in the Gulf, yeah, the Gulf of Mexico or the Gulf of America, as he calls it, I cheered. I thought that was brilliant. Drug smuggling bastards bringing misery to the United States. That's another one who won't be doing it next week. What's wrong with that? It's not as if they don't know what was in the boat. Is this too much for you? Is this too harsh? If you want to comment, I want you to write it up now in the box, because I'm saying that we've got to change the whole of the West, and we've got to stop being tolerant of the intolerant. Of course, diversity isn't a bad thing if people want to come and live here and mix here, but the first thing you'll be is British, and you'll believe in British values, tolerance, being crap at cricket, stuff like that. Do you understand where I'm coming from? I cannot believe. I've read all the commentaries. I've listened to all those little twats who can't even shave yet on I can't believe GB News. When they've got a subject like this, why don't you get some grown-ups to discuss it, to debate it? Sorry, I'm on my high horse about it. It's just wrong. Got kids who are barely shed. They're having a debate. Oh, God. Shut up, John. But anyway, that's what I'm thinking. I'd like to know what you're thinking. I've been to the football. Coventry was rubbish and we lost. I've got my Coventry. This is my favourite ever Coventry shirt because it's Coventry Cathedral. It's the big window. But disappointed today. We've gone off the boil. We certainly have. Maybe we need to get Trump in the dugout with Super Frankie Lampard. I don't know. But I think what Trump has done is right, and we should follow suit. And I would like Farage to start saying that. Because what we've got to do, because the way Starmer was this morning, he was so incredibly arrogant. Oh, I'm not going anywhere. I don't mind the criticism. I can take it. People say, oh, we'll get rid of him in May. We need to get rid of him now. We need to put the pressure right on him. How many more pubs do you want closed down? How many more girls do you want raped? How many more of your daughters do you want kidnapped and beaten up? How much more of this crap must we take? How many more extremists do you want let in to preach their hatred on the streets of Birmingham, Manchester, Coventry, Oxford, everywhere? Yeah? I'm not anti-immigration. I'm pro-immigration. but has to be well controlled and managed, and it clearly isn't. And those who want to do us harm, I don't want to have any sympathy for them whatsoever. And on the world stage, we need a lot more Trump and certainly a hell of a lot less Ed Davey. Have you seen the sort of stuff he's been coming out with? It was bad when Cameron said hug a hoodie. Now we're meant to hug a terrorist. Let's all sing Kumbaya, light a candle, and not look back in anger. Well, here's one fat bloke in Coventry who's looking forward in anger into 2026. And I'm saying something has got to change. That's a song title as well. Something has got to change. I don't know what the title is. And I'm saying we need to be more Trumpian. Are you with me or against me? Right, let's take some comments. If there was a leadership challenge, he would call an election and they would all lose their seats. It's catch-22. Yeah, but you're taking Starmer's side by saying that. Forever English, BNB. The answer is, who cares what he thinks? We need an election. Then he says the UK has no balls to follow Trump, what Trump has done. There's too many lefty lawyers. You can't read out everyone you've sent in, mate. You've sent about 50. Let's go to somebody else. Angel Dark 68. It's just been said that France and the UK have agreed to let them into the UK. I'm so mad. Let who into the UK? What are you on about, Angel? Give me some information on that, please. On YouTube, I agree, says Ian Ladd, R6V. Is Starsme next? Please. Yeah, I've seen all those memes as well. Can Trump not send in the helicopters and take Starmer away? That ain't going to happen. It's down to the British public to do that. We need to keep telling him he's useless. I can't believe he had an hour, effectively, of that program today to spout lies. Every other line was a lie. Oh, and then he always resorts to, yes, we've done breakfast clubs. And I personally take that. I'm very proud of the fact we've lifted X amount of millions kids, or 500,000, as he says, out of poverty. Bullshit. If you offer free dinners, people will take it. And I speak as somebody who had free school meals. But I'll tell you something else. After my mum died, my dad wasn't the best dad in the world. If you read my book, you'll know about it. But my dad made sure there was breakfast food for us. He made sure there was food on the table. That's the difference. You're not allowed to have common sense in this world. Well, you are if you just demand it. I don't get told what I can say. We saw a true leader in Trump, says Annette Locke, agreeing with me. The rest just don't have a backbone. Right, where are we going next? James Lee Staffer, SF6ER. Some of these names are impossible to read out. Try and make them easier. Football firms should unite. I tried that before. It won't work, will it? It just would not work. Pom, PN, on YouTube. To be frank, illegals and drugs are also part of it. So are factors like oil in China, the influence in Latin America. Yeah, I saw Bev Turner talk about this yesterday, and she's right. It's almost a proxy war at the moment, and it is about giving China a clear message. I can take that on board. However, don't get distracted by all of that kind of noise at the side. Just first of all, consider this. It's not when I say get rid of Starmer, people say, oh, who's going to replace him? It's not the question. Yes, just get rid of him, and then we'll get on to that. So that's all I would say on that issue, right? Pete Dawson, he definitely wants civil war. I've been saying this for ages. He's a bellend, and he hates us. Thank you very much indeed. Communists follow communists. They're trying it here with digital ID. It's exactly the same thing in the making, and it's just the start. Good point, Annette. Thank you, on Facebook. 30 likes. That's really good. Lots of people watching, which is brilliant. Here we are then. Time for the begging bowl. Anybody want to donate some money today? Just click the little $sign next to the comments and donate as little or as much as you wish. Obviously, I've not been here over Christmas. I'm doing a podcast tomorrow. Christmas was crap. I'll tell you all about that on tomorrow's podcast, but this thing has superseded it today. World peace. But so if you want to donate, click the little $sign. Who wants to be the first one today to get a mention? Or go to www.buymeacoffee.com, and we've not had any contributions on there for about a week. www.buymeacoffee.com/Jon Gaunt, and donate anything from $5 upwards. Don't forget, the most important thing is to join Jon Gaunt TV, which is on YouTube, the channel. A little pop-up comes up which says, do you want to subscribe? Say yes, doesn't cost anything, but it helps you because then you get told every time I'm doing extra shows, you get access to all the archive, etc., etc., etc. So try and do that for me and tell all your mates to do it as well. Right, let's move on. Trump has done amazingly well in the year he has been president. He has. Win after win after win. Border closed tightly. That's a very good point. You see, people said, oh, you can't control the southern border. They'll keep coming. 95% he's knocked it down by. How? He built the wall and he's had Marines there and they've been as hard as nails. And they've gone into places where they're employing people who shouldn't be in the bloody country. What do? We just turn a blind eye. Starmer's been in Checkers. I bet he's been ringing bloody, what do you call it, Deliveroo. And he's had a few of those illegals peddling like crazy up the drive of Checkers to bring them a lukewarm pizza. I'm joking. It's a flight of fancy. But they know it's going on. We know all these nail bars. I mean, give Nigel Farage his due. He said you can't have all these barbers. It's obvious a front for something else. That doesn't mean every Turkish, they're not even Turkish, they're Kurdish, but not every Turkish barber is a crook or a drug dealer, does it? No, it doesn't. But we have to be able to call a spade a spade. Anyway, it's just nonsense. So he's controlled immigration, well said Roy Marsh. 21 trillion in investment, tariffs bringing hundreds of billions into the USA. He's done what he said he'd do, i.e. what was on the can. Thank you very much indeed. That guy, English, whatever his name is, Forever English, he's just gifted a Jon Gaunt TV membership. Thank you very much indeed. And Chloe Celeste, who's one of my new listeners, she says, I'm loving your passion as always, John. Keep it up. And she just donated a $5 on YouTube. Thank you very much indeed. Your name will come up on the screen in a moment. Anybody else want to donate? Come on, I'm busting a gut here for you. And I think what I'm saying, you won't hear this anywhere else. You might, maybe because it's rubbish, I don't know. But if you agree with me, give me some support. All right, let me move on. I saw the interview. No mention about the terrorist who was awarded 250 grand by Lammy. Absolute disgrace, says Terry Wheatley. Terry, yeah, but there's a bigger story there, mate. He only got 7.5 grand. The rest of the 250 grand, you know what that was? That was his legal cost. So guess who gets that? The leeching human rights lawyers. He never got all that money. Don't get me wrong. I don't think he should have got a penny. But he never got 250 grand. Goes to the lawyers. Scumbags. Who's this? Sorry. Starmer Harmer will be gone by May. Well, I'm glad you're so confident of that. He won't be unless we keep the pressure on. I've had a guy, he doesn't even live in this country anymore, right? He's a nice fella. Pete, I think his name is. I think he lives in Hungary. Peter Adams. He's been a supporter of the show. But the last few days, he's been slagging me. Oh, all you ever talk about is Starmer. There's more important things in the world. Is there? And so I kind of politely said, well, set up your own YouTube channel. You really know. You've got the gift of it. You go and do it. But I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about. And I don't think there's anything more important than Starmer at the moment. So that's what I'm saying. Going back to you, says he'll be gone. He'll only be gone if we all keep the pressure up. I don't want him to be able to sleep at night. He is wrecking our country. And then he's trying to jail us all if we dare say we don't like him. Steve Badham, he needs to go. Dictator, before they leave, check their accounts and assets. Thank you very much. Please, Mr. President, lift Starman and take him to Guantanamo Bay. Again, no, I can't read that last bit out, please. No homosexual or homophobic jokes. It just gets us closed down. It's pathetic. Don't do it. 5 MPs in the UK Parliament on Pakistan and Palestine tickets. That's shocking. What do you mean that's the agenda they push? Not quite sure what you mean by that, Chloe. Give me some more information. Exactly, says Miami Mary Lou. Right, let's read this one. Exactly. As a Cuban American, I know all too well the evil of these socialist dictators. The danger you great British people face is that you think it cannot happen here in the UK. But it is. Wake up, Britain. Miami Mary Lou, please get in touch with me again on my show. I do a live show every day at 6 o'clock, Monday to Thursday. Always do one on a Sunday as well. It's good to have you on board. I know exactly where you're coming from, with you being Cuban. So thank you, and I think it's a good warning. I think it's a very good warning. Thank you very much indeed. Chloe says, Miami Mary Lou, God knows why people believe that socialism works. Michael Doolan, YouTube, he says, diversity is division. I agree. The way it's phrased in this country, it is. Diversity, it's good to know different people who are gay or people who are trans, people who are black from a black origin, people who are African. Of course it is. Nothing wrong with that. But it's not our strength. A country has to be united. So it can have all those aspects of it, but everyone has to be British. No? Islam is not a religion. It's a Satanist cult. Ban it from Western countries. Greg Lander. That's ridiculous. It's not Islam. It's not Muslims. It's Islamists. It's the fascists. Where are we going next? You can't move to a nation and expect theocracy. I think you missed something off there, but never mind. They bring up international law and then realize 99% of those illegals invaded the USA, and therefore they broke international law. Yeah, that's true. The reason I haven't done a show the last couple of days, I had that cold and it went away, the flu, COVID, whatever it was. Last couple of days after Christmas, it came back on. Not the same thing, but now it's just a snivelly, snotty nose. And no, it's really annoying. I was speaking to my mate Dave today when we were watching the football, and he's gone through the same thing. So I think there must be a lot about. Anyway, yes, the MSM are not showing the Venezuelans celebrating. No, they're not. You're right. They're not showing the Iranians either, because it goes against their narrative. You can't possibly be right-wing like Trump and bring freedom and peace and prosperity. You can't possibly be. No, you're a fascist. It's just so ludicrous, this way of thinking. Venezuela, majority Catholic Protestants, but there's no interest. Therefore, that equals no interest from the MSM. I think that's a very good point. Happy New Year, John. Same shit, different year. I think Starmer saying he's going to fulfill the full term is the biggest threat in his mouth. I think you're right. Thank you as well for wishing me a Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everybody else. It's going to be a hell of a year. It's going to be a difficult year. Farage was sitting on the fence. Well, tell me something I didn't know. I've just said that about half an hour ago. Where are we going next? Tricky for Nigel. He'll be arrested or cancelled if he gets too tough, unfortunately. Maybe nearer a general election, he'll be more forthright. I tell you one thing that I did think he'd said was absolutely brilliant, yeah, was this thing about if you're a member of a rape gang, whoever you are, wherever you've come from, you're going to prison and you're never coming out. That's the kind of policies we want. I mean, I'd string the bastards up from the nearest lamppost, but we're never going to get that again. However, they should be locked up forever. Yeah, I agree. No colour telly, though. None of that crap. You with me or not? The man is a fool. I hope you're not. This man is a fool. I hope you're not talking about me, Galby6864. I hope you're talking about Starmer. No, you voted Green and smoked it. Well, what? Also, you work for the BBC, but nice rant. What you say is true. I don't know what you're on about. Yeah, I did vote Green and smoked it. Smoked what? I did smoke dope when I was a young lad. I wouldn't do it now. I think it's a ludicrous thing to do. And I also worked for the BBC. Yes, I did. Because do you know why? They've got a monopoly on the broadcast industry in this country. And also, they trained me very well. I mean, I was a genius anyway. But they taught me other things. So I'm not going to slag them off on that level. Anyway, at last somebody's picked up on one of the positive things I said. I was talking about the SAS. Cliff Dixon, big friend of the programme. Hi, Cliff. Happy New Year to you. If we sent the SAS in to grab the migrant smugglers, the human rights lawyers will be all over it like a rash, just as they continue to persecute the Northern Ireland veterans. Cliff, you make a brilliant point. It's an absolute disgrace. They would be, but you know what? Maybe we should have to arrest them as well then. What about my human rights? Shut up. We're winching you up to the helicopter. Oh, my human rights. But we've got to get tough. And also this idea that they're people smugglers. I've been thinking this for ages, but I thought if I said it, people would think I'm a fascist or I'm a barbarian or a savage. The people on the boats are not wholly innocent, are they? They're not. We've got to deter them. And the way you deter them is to close the hotels, get rid of the squeeze hope, and put them in tents. And then don't let them out of the camps. The idea they can just walk into town. How many more girls have to be raped before Starmer thinks, oh, that's not a very good idea. If we kept them in a camp, they wouldn't be able to do it. Not that they all do it, but it only takes one, doesn't it? Exactly, John. It has to end now. Thank you very much indeed. John, I love your passion. I only wish there was more like you in the UK. Let me tell you, love. I don't know if you're a lover or you're a man or woman. No, you can still be loved. If you come from Esther, everyone's loved. But anyway, Duck, let me tell you, there's loads of people like me in the country. They just need waking up. And a lot of them are awake, but they're scared. They're scared. Starmer has killed free speech in this country. If they can lock up, what's his name? Father Ted Creator. I read a really interesting Twitter thing that he put up today. You know, Hat Trick Productions, have I got news for you? They bought the rights to turn Father Ted into a musical. He did all the work, and then he starts getting in all this hassle with the trans, and they pulled out. And you think, well, fair enough, they don't want to be involved in it. But they've kept the rights. So Graham can't make the musical, which would be a smash hit, wouldn't it, on both sides of the Atlantic? And it's his work. If you look on Twitter, you'll see the story. It's a disgrace. John, I wish there was more like you in the UK. Tell my wife. We're all in trouble. All parties are towing this line regarding Trump. We have only hope for Farage to change things. Thank you, Magpie. That's kind of what I'm saying in the title today. You're right. The whole of the mainstream media, the broadcast media in particular, they're basically saying, well, was it right that he did this? International law. He broke international law. I just find all this just utter cobblers. Utter cobblers. He isn't Mother Teresa. He's a foul dictator who was stealing all the money for himself and his cronies and taking in drugs to the States. You think Donald Trump should just sit back and go, oh, on you go, I'm a liberal. No. Do they think Islamists won't touch them? The government are nutters. That's like the old dinosaur, the alligator line, isn't it? John, you are right. You are top man, said Anthony Jenkins. Thank you very much indeed. I agree. Leanne Tail says, John, you should have been the Prime Minister. Oh, yeah. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? I've got to blow my nose again. I do apologise. Oh, any more donations coming in? Come on, guys. Few quid for the new year. Just click the little dollar sign and donate whatever you want. We take all credit cards. Oh, I don't take them. YouTube take them. Or go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Jon Gaunt and donate there. Right. Do you want me to carry on? Because I wasn't going to do very long, but there's hundreds of people still wanting to talk. If a nation is so hostile that it imports drugs into your nation, it is waging a war, says Michael Doolan. Yeah, that's a very good point. Drugs have killed more Americans each year than the entire Vietnam War. Very good point indeed, Michael, on YouTube. Thank you for making it. Where are we going next? Chloe says the fact-free, not free school meals is always the fallback, and it's utterly pathetic. You're right. And as I say, Chloe, I was on free school meals. I think they're important dinners, but the breakfast thing, I've never really bought into that. I know all the arguments of, you can't blame the kids for the parents if they're useless. I accept all that, but I don't know. I just think it's all wrong. I think it's all virtue signalling. That's what I really think. Starmer's been busy with his special friend, Lord Ali. I wish he had been. I wish Lord Ali would measure him up for a new jacket. One of those ones that are white canvas, but the arms around the back, and you get somebody else to tie the arm. Because you need to do that when we send in the helicopter to Downing Street and we have to lift him up on the winch. You want him to be secure. You don't want him to fall off, do you? That's the sort of jacket he needs. John, did you see my X comments? No. When did you put them up? Well, you want me to look at them while I'm doing a live show? Behave. Crackheads use food banks for a reason. Don't really know what that means, but thank you. Forever English is just gifted Jon Gaunt TV membership. Yes, you can do that. I don't know how you do it, but thank you for doing it on YouTube. And Chloe Celeste, loving your passion as always, John. Keep it up. And she's donated a £5. Right. Nose is streaming. I do apologise. Sorry, John. Skint. That twat Starmer took it all in tax and bills, says Annette. I can believe that. They're all Marxists. Or Marxist, as it says here, which I know that's a mistake, but it's actually quite funny. They're taking it to the max. Michael Doolan's just donated £2 on YouTube. Thank you, Michael. Very much appreciated. All he's done is press the little $sign and donated £2 to keep free speech alive. Have you seen the Devil's Advocate movie, John? That's what seems to be happening in the UK. No, I haven't actually, Leanne. Where do you see that then? Send me a link to. No, you can't send links on there. Just tell me where I'd find it, and I'll try and have a look at it. I'm sorry, but I don't want channel migrants anywhere near me, says Leanne. Well, I kind of agree with that, really. No, not too harsh. You are spot on. You simply have to accept the fact that some people are scum, pure evil. At some point, you fight back with force. Farage is a massive letdown now. Fraser Ford says nasal, menthol stuff or Sudafed stop snot for a few hours. Yeah, but I want to tell you something about that. Let me just have another blow. You can put up when we blow my nose. Hold on. When I was in care, get the violins up. When I was in the children's home and then I was rescued by my Auntie Rosemary, she was a matron. Do you remember when we had them? It's when hospitals looked after patients and they didn't have all the queues. But she was a matron in the hospital. And she told me a few things in life and she put me on the straight and narrow. But one of the things she told me was, never wash a mushroom because you'll die of worse things than that. And she said the mud gives them a bit of flavour. She also said, never, ever put anything in your ear to clean the wax out. The wax is good. And that's now what doctors say as well. And the third thing she said, never take any drugs. In those days, it was night nurse, I think. She said, never take a drug that dries up your cold because you're just going to give yourself other problems for future. Now, manufacturers of night nurse, I don't want you coming at me now and having a go at me. I'm just telling you what my Auntie Rosemary said. So I've never taken it. Same as Sudafed. Don't do that. I do paracetamols and then go to bed. Well, it's not working that well at the moment, I know, but you know what I mean. Anyway, a bit of snot and golly. Never hurt anyone. I'm going to try and think of some of the other things that she said. She had loads of little sayings about what you shouldn't do. I was 13 at the time, so I might tell you some more another day. Once upon a time, the BBC was okay. Yeah, when I worked for the BBC at the beginning, it was just the most brilliant organisation going. Someone is paying for train fare to France. It's suspicious. What do you mean train fare to France? For who? Michael says, we're sick of being gaslighted. That's for true. Gaslit. I've ordered my Donald Trump baseball cap. Good man. Starmer, or Lisa Carvel from Coventry. Starmer also said he'd get rid of the migrant hotels. He's gaslighting again. This just means he's spreading the problem around the country into HMOs. Yes, Lisa, completely correct. Somebody like, whatever her name is, Laura Clutterbuck or whatever her name is, she should have said today, no, Mr. Prime Minister, you're missing the point. People don't want them in the hotels, but they don't want them in army camps. They don't want them in homes of multiple occupation. Do you know what, Mr. Starmer? They don't want them at all in the United Kingdom unless they've come through the right channel, not the English channel, and they've applied to come here because they want well-controlled, managed immigration. Do you understand? Thank you, Lisa. Amazing how the left said nothing when Obama used presidential override to bomb multiple countries. Yes, because he bombed more countries than Trump has. But Trump removes a hated dictator with no casualties, and they scream about international law. I know. Honestly, Cliff, I've been laughing my duck off. He's gone in, surgical. I don't know, the Yanks, they've gone in, got to the presidential palace or whatever it is, steel doors, all the rest. In they go, yeah? Like Michael Caine in the Italian Job on Speed. You're only meant to blow the bloody doors off, right? Anyway, so they get in. He's probably still in his gym jams, little Hitler motifs he's probably got all over his gym jams, the dictator, yeah? Or he's probably snorting a load of coke. I don't know what he was doing at the time. But him and his fat missus, they get on, wince him up in the helicopter, straight out to the big destroyer thing. Then they tell everyone, they're going to take him to New York on the boat. They obviously then took him on a jet there. And now he's over there in New York. Brilliant. Brilliant. I'm from a third-generation miners family. We always voted Labour. Our villages have become drug dens. Miners' grandchildren have become heroin addicts in less than 40 years. Yeah, Michael, I agree with what you're saying there. But here's something that might upset some people. The drug problem we have in a lot of our mining places, just like in our old fishing villages, was because, I'm going to blame her, Mrs. Thatcher, because of that ridiculous row she had with Scargill. There was blame on both sides. That's what the kids turn to. I accept what you're saying. And of course, the tragedy is that coal is still under the ground, and those kids could have jobs rather than shooting up. So, just a thought. John, I was a matron. I'm 56. I'm one of the last old school ones. Well, good on you, Chloe. I just think that'd be better if we went back to that system. A friend of mine, Emma, she watches the show. Emma, I hope you got sorted out now. She put up on Twitter, I think yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. She'd been in casualty, A&E. They don't call it casualty anymore, do they? A&E. She'd been there for 30-something hours and not been seen yet. I don't know what was wrong with her. I didn't ask her. I'm no doubt she'll tell me. She'll send me a private message. And I won't tell you unless she says I can. But how can that be acceptable? How can that be acceptable? I told you about my dad. When he collapsed at Heathrow after he came back from his holiday and banged his head and all the rest of it, they took him to the local hospital. But, of course, it was Heathrow. There wasn't any beds. He was effectively in a corridor for 2 days. Then they did get him a bed. But they have loads of people getting off the planes who've got gunshot wounds, just flown in to get treated. It's what's happening. It's what's happening. And I don't know why we bother doing census anymore. What's the plural of census? Censi? I don't know. Because we've got no control of our borders. Michael Doolan, 7595. I treat sore throats and cold with honey and lemon. Hot boiling water, a spoon of honey and a squeeze of lemon. Yeah, that's good. I agree with that. Maybe a tot of whiskey on the top of it as well. Good grief, your poor dad, says Chloe Celeste. I'll tell you about that, Chloe. With my dad, after 2 days, they then got him a bed, but then they did the Glasgow thing where they work out what brain function he had, and he hadn't. They realised he wouldn't have had any because he was deprived of oxygen. The loveliest thing about all that, if there can be a lovely thing about your dad dying, but when he collapsed at Heathrow, some bloke came over and started giving him CPR, because he fell back and banged his head. He had a heart attack, effectively. And about 2 days later, my dad was obviously in this coma then, this guy phoned up and he said, are you Mr. Gaunt? To me, and I said, well, I'm always suspicious. I said, yeah, why? He said, "Oh, I helped your dad at Heathrow," and he told us what he'd done. I've never heard from him again. He said, "But let me know when your dad's better." And of course, he never got better. But isn't that lovely? Some people just are some great people in this country. Cliff Dixon's just saying something. Re your dad. The hospital at Heathrow, the hospital is Hillingdon. That's right, Hillingdon. My local one, rated in the worst 6 in the country. They nearly killed me in 2022. The locals refer to it as Killingdon. Thank you, Cliff. Well, I'll tell you where they took him after that. They took him, the only bed they could find in London was right across in, I'm not good with London geography, even though I worked there for years, was, what's that place? It's just gone out of my head now. Woolwich, and it was the old military hospital. So they still had some military nurses working in it. And they looked after him really well. Not that he'd know, because who's that? And then I wanted to bring him back. I said to my 2 brothers, look, we've got to bring him back. Because I was going down every day. And you just can't do it forever, can you? And then, because it was like that for about a couple of weeks. And then we got taken into this room. And I always remember I called this bloke Dr. Death, not to his face. But he had one of those faces when, you know, this ain't going to be good news, guys. And he basically said, look, you know, the chances of your dad coming back. And they wanted to stop feeding him or whatever they do. And so they did that. But my old man, he must have been some tough bugger. And like I say, I got back on with my dad towards the end of his life. But I had a really bad relationship with him for years and years. But he wouldn't die. He wouldn't die. So he was there for about another 3 or 4 days. So then I said, look, I'd like to take, he lived in Nuneaton. I said, I'd like to take him back to Nuneaton. And had a bit of a row with one of my brothers. He said, oh, no, I don't want to do that. It'll kill him. I said, he's already fucking dead. Anyway. So they did. They brought him back to Nuneaton and they put him on a ward there. But he only lasted about 3 or 4 hours. And then we got treated again. This is the thing about when people slag off the NHS. You got to remember there's some wonderful people. There was this nurse, fella, male nurse, bright pink hair he had, right? He was as gay and as camp as anything, right? Lovely bloke. And he looked after my dad. And then, you know, so by the time we got to the hospital, my dad was dead. Still lying in the bed. And this guy, he was the most caring and compassionate fella, or one of the most I've ever met in my life. And he gave us some comfort because he said, you know, I made sure your dad was okay and comfortable. And I said, I'll tell you what, because they put him on a ward with loads of old fellas. There was a bloke walking around with a pair of underpants on his head. You know, you've been in these wards, I'm sure. And I said, my dad would have looked at this and thought, fuck this for a game of soldiers, I'm going, and killed himself and died. And this guy just laughed. And he said, yeah, probably. If he was old school. Because he was an old school cop of my dad. So he said, yeah, that's probably what happened. It's little moments like that, isn't it, that makes you realise that human beings, on the whole, are wonderful. They're just some horrible. I've got to go, but people are still popping up. This just popped into my feed. I'm American, says Pam Forrester 844. Why does Starmer dislike Trump? He always looks nervous or angry around him. Well, he hates him because he's right wing. That's why. And because he's an uber liberal. But also he knows he's got to keep in with him, which is why he's scared of his shadow. That's why he didn't really say anything yesterday. He didn't act like a leader. So, but I'm glad you found me. So now you found me, Pam Forrester. Keep, you know, get onto YouTube, go to Jon Gaunt TV and subscribe, and you'll be able to watch all my other videos. John, your prediction for this year is what? My prediction is we'll get rid of Starmer, but we've all got to work hard at it. That's my prediction. Coventry will get promoted, although they're making a hash of it at the moment. And I might start earning a few bob. I'm not earning anything at the moment because you're not doing enough donations. Anybody want to do www.buymeacoffee.com/Jon Gaunt, or you can, alternatively, you can click the little $sign. My sister lives in Spain, says Lisa, and is married to a Spanish man. Could she not find a good Brit? I'm only joking. He was celebrating yesterday. Well, he would be. He would be. I saw a load of people from Cuba in Florida. They're all, Cuba's not in Florida, but there's a place called Little Cuba, isn't there? And they're all on the telly, yeah, doing it. And why not? God bless America. God bless Mr. Trump, says Bonnie Scott. Our dads are made of tough stuff. Mine's 96, Alzheimer's for 15 years, just recovered from his 479th chest infection. His brain is gone, but physically he's strong. Well, what you have to do then, Chloe, is love him. And love him for what he was and what he is. We've got a similar kind of thing at the moment, but you've got to remember the good times from before, but you've also got to remember these people are still people now. That's why I'm against a sister dying. I'm against it. Michael Doolan, Happy New Year, John. Thank you very much. And Pam Forrester in America has said, I've just subscribed. Just joined the YouTube channel. Great. Then, Pam, you'll be able to watch me tomorrow night. Thank you, everyone, for all your help and your contributions. That's an hour. I've just done an hour for you. I could go back to doing a 3-hour show easy. I was thinking of doing a show maybe once every 2 days where I just look at what's in the papers or on the internet, just off the cuff. No rehearsals, no practice, no script. Would you fancy something like that as well? As well as doing these, I'm going to start introducing the guests again as well. But I've got to build the numbers because we're not getting enough at the moment. We're just not getting enough numbers. And you know what Lisa's like? She's down there with a ledger. Got a feather and everything. It's like working for Ebenezer Scrooge. Jackie Ward sent me 3 red hearts. That always means I can stop. Thank you, darling. Just bought you a coffee, says Terry Wheatley. Thank you, Terry. The Tories were quiet today, not supporting Trump. You're right. They're scared of their shadow. They think the problem with politicians is politicians think that what they and their mates all think, whichever party, apart from a reform, that's how the country thinks. You'd have thought after Brexit, and you'd have thought after the massive growth of reform, they would wake up and smell the coffee. But no. I see today Mumsnet, that real middle-class internet group, they've now gone with reform. And the woman was on the telly, very posh, very middle-class. She said, basically, I just liked him because he says what he's going to do and he does it. What a sad state of affairs that's the quality the moment. I don't know. Lisa says Farage is keeping his head down because he knows the establishment and the MSM are gunning for him. Exactly. Ian Lad, FOV, R6V or something. I can't remember that. Good stuff, John. Thank you very much indeed. Right, that's me done. If you've got kids, give them a kiss, give them a hug. Hey. Don't forget to tell them you love them. Have a lovely Sunday night. Good luck on your first day back at work tomorrow if you're going back tomorrow. I'll be here at 6 o'clock tomorrow night or maybe before. I'll see how we crack on. Thank you. Thank you for making it successful. And thanks for all your donations. And, of course, Happy New Year.